Alright. Oh, Lord. Uh. Ooh. Oh, this way. Okay. That looks better. Hello there! I have no idea how many people are going to watch this. But here we go. It's Super Bowl Sunday. I could really give less of a shit about the Super Bowl. Honestly, I don't care. You're talking to a hardcore baseball fan. So, instead of talking about the Super Bowl, I'm gonna talk about baseball. Because fuck you, football. Both soccer and American football. Yeah, so, first things first. Apparently, an MLB player is gonna go to the Hiroshima Carp. Oh, Lord. I'm willing to bet that there are people who have no idea what the hell I'm talking about when I say Hiroshima Carp. Baseball is big in Japan. Hiroshima Carp is the town of my hometown in Japan. That's all you need to know. So, who was the guy? Ramiro Pena? Yeah, Ramiro Pena. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. It's a Spanish name. Apparently he's from Mexico. Shit, I completely fucked this up. I lost what I was doing. So yes, other than that, not much in terms of recent news from the Carp. It's the off season in Japan, so there's not gonna be much news. Uh, the other thing, I'm gonna do some free advertising here, because I swear to God I am not paid for this, although I wish I was being paid for this. Oh, God. Hey, World Baseball Classic, if you wanna, just give me a call. I'll take any money you wanna give me. World Baseball Classic starts in March. I don't know how many people are gonna watch it. I'm probably gonna try and find myself a live stream or two or three. If America or Japan gets into the finals, I may do a stream on the last day of the World Baseball Classic. The championship games depends on how much America and Japan, how far America and Japan gets. I have no idea if America pre-order all games, Ubisoft ones in general. No, no. Anyway, I have no idea who I'm gonna cheer for if America and Japan make it to the finals. Will they even make it to the finals? Are they even in the same pool? Wikipedia! No, they are not in the same pool. Okay. Alright, I guess that is enough for baseball news. Exit out tab. Yeah, the only reason why I did that is because a lot of people are talking about football and I could care less about football. So it's kind of a slap to their face. Like, even I go to Google News and then the first thing on there is Patriots erased blah 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 blah. I could give too less of a shit. I don't know why they think I care about football. Hey Google, you have my personal information, don't you? You should know I like baseball, not football. Don't you monitor my internet searches? Don't you know how many times I've gone to the Carp homepage? Come on, Google. You're smarter than that. I hope. Because I'm American. You must love American football, right? No, I could really. I can see why people get into it. I mean, it's about the same reason why people get into baseball in Japan. I'm not talking about like objectively. Oh, there's a reason A, B, C, D why this sport is better than that sport. Blah 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 blah. No, not that. People just like whatever sports because they like that sport. There isn't much logic to it. It's why one of my friends who's really into the esports scene, but one of my friends in my English class last semester, he's really into esports, but he only likes Smash Brothers esports, and he always roots for Marth. So yeah. But Google, you should know, I like baseball, not football. They need to work. If they don't know that I like baseball and not football, they need to work on whatever computer algorithm program thingamabobbers they use to try and guess what I like. Because that is a basic fact that should be very easy to find out by looking at my browser history. Not that I want Google to look at my browser history. There's probably some stuff that you don't want to see. I'll stop talking right now before I raise too much questions. There are things about everyone which you would rather not know. So, what else is there? I had like a bunch of Trump stuff ready to talk about, and then now it's all gone and replaced with football. Because that's what my Google newsfeed is like. Apparently, Queen Elizabeth II marks 65 years on the British throne. Take that for what you will. I really have no opinion on that. Number 1. What else is... You know, there's just one thing I want to talk about right now. It vaguely has to do with Trump, but it's more to do with Google News than Trump. For some reason, I don't know how this happened or when this happened. I did not tell Google to do this. They just did it. There is now... Hold on, let me... how does this look? Yeah, that's better. Apparently, I now have on my Google News feed a section called Executive Orders. I don't know why that's there. It's just there. I'm assuming there's some algorithm somewhere that added it in. I don't know what Google was thinking, but that section is there now. And it's mostly articles about executive orders that have already been made, and really, I've talked about them enough to where... Well, there is a few new things I could talk about. But right now I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about why the hell do I have executive orders as a section on my Google News feed. Google does this sometimes. I could see why Google did it for, like, you know, the elections. During the election season, I could see why Google added a section called elections on my Google News feed. But no, I now have executive orders as a section. And the elections one I could see because it was the elections. I mean, like, it should be fairly obvious. But then I have no idea why the fuck executive orders. Just put it into the US politics section that I have. I really don't need a separate section for Trump's executive orders. I could probably remove it by messing around with my settings. I'm just too lazy to try and figure it out. What makes it really interesting is it's like above my US section, but below my world section. I have like different sections for my Google News feed. So the top is just the top stories, because that's always on the top. And then after that is world, and then under that executive orders showed up. That's the one I have no idea why it's there. Then it's US, then business, technology, entertainment, which like I have it set to only one story, and then under that is sports, which is one story. Just for the record, all the football stuff is on the top stories thing, not the sports section. And then under that is science, which has quite a bit, and then health, and then Japanese politics, and the last section is just Esperanto, which is rarely updated. I mean, holy shit. I'm willing to bet that Google News does not peruse Esperanto news sites, which I'm assuming they exist. I haven't exactly looked for them, but I'm assuming they exist. So, oh shite! I accidentally clicked out of the YouTube live dashboard. Oops. It's gonna take a little while for the chat to load up again. Shit. I hit the wrong X button. Uh-oh. Hold on. I'm trying to reorganize this thing. I wish I could, like, save the way I have the different sections set up. I want the chat and the video on the top, and then, like, everything else under it. But, like, YouTube refuses to save that configuration. I haven't even figured out if you can save configurations. Okay. So, what else was I going to talk about? Oh, yeah. So, the travel ban that was struck down by a judge, the administration has challenged it and has filed an appeal. Not too surprising. That's not, I mean, I guess it technically is news, but it's not exactly news that is that surprising. But there is something else that is surprising. And that's what Trump said on the judge. Which, this is probably old news. I did not do a stream yesterday because I was at a friend's house, and then I got back and it was like 8 p.m. And I decided I was going to sleep for an hour before I did the stream, and then I woke up and it was 11 o'clock. So yeah. Number 2. Jesus. So the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals has declined to reinstate the travel ban, so it's going to have to be fought out in the courts before it's reinstated, or at least until Monday it's going to be delayed, whatever decision is made. I predict this is probably going to go pretty high. But the stuff that Trump said about the judge, ooh, I can't get the quotes, and I don't think he said it on TV, it was on Twitter, because Trump always uses Twitter for some stupid fucking reason. He is our Twitter, he is our tweeter-in-chief in some ways. Hello there, Milk! So, I had an article from the Washington Post up a little bit ago, and I don't know where it went. There it is. It's loading. So, yeah, Trump has said things that have even drawn some criticism. I don't think it was really condemnation, just criticism from even fellow Republicans. So Trump's tweets, just to read them straight off. The opinion of this so-called judge, which essentially takes law enforcement away from our country, is ridiculous and will be overturned. What is our country coming to when a judge can halt the Homeland Security travel ban for anyone, even with bad intentions? can't come into the U.S. So, he's attacking the judge based not the Ninth Circuit one, the one who which originally suspended Trump's travel ban. No, not really travel ban, the immigration ban from those 7 countries. So-called judge. He says it's a so-called judge, and then he's saying that it's the last tweet. Just cannot believe a judge would put our country in such peril. If something happens, blame him and the court system. People pouring in. Bad. Aside from the hold on one moment. Ow! Ah! Fucking moth! Yes, I'm alright, Mom. I was trying to kill a moth and not very successful. So, in any case, going back to the tweets. It seems like Trump is questioning the authority of the judges. Or at least questioning their decisions. Now, that's scary to me. The decision of judges are to be respected. We don't have so-called judges. That's something that one Republican said. I can't remember his name. Yeah, we have judges, but we don't have so-called judges. This questioning of the authority of the judicial system is... Washington Post, I'm not gonna, read the whole thing because half of it seems like fear-mongering on the Washington Post's part. But... the question has been raised before by others, even before this decision. What if Trump does something, the Supreme Court, or something, whatever court there is it goes to, it's hard to predict, decides to just ignore whatever decision is made? The courts don't exactly have that much enforcement power. I say the Washington Post thing is half fear-mongering because they finished with the prediction that the people who work under Trump will follow Trump's orders and not the Supreme Court's orders. I have a little bit more faith in people like James Mattis than the Washington Post. I do believe that there are some people in the Trump administration who, if the Supreme Court rules against Trump, will do the right thing and probably get fired by Trump for it, but... oh, come on. Oh, what's this? I just got sent something over Twitter. Michael Skolnick. I have no idea who that is. A few days ago, I wrote how Trump knew Muslim ban was unconstitutional, but would use it to discredit judicial system. Today, he just did that. Ah, okay. Well, and then he has a picture of a hell of a lot of other tweets that he made. I'm not going to read through every single one of them, because there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7. I don't know. One of them is like cut off. I have no idea who Michael Skolnick is. I'm surprised he made that prediction. Mainly because I didn't know anyone would make that prediction. A lot of people were, even before Trump was elected, were asking the question, what if Trump does a thing that this courts strike down, and then he just ignores the courts? Okay, number 3. But, I didn't think it would, didn't think it would become a reality. Stephen King himself said, okay, if you try to post a link, it's not gonna... Trump tweets are both malevolent and excruciatingly dumb. He comes off sounding like I'm assuming the K is missing. A pro wrestling bad guy from the 1965 from 1965. Oh, okay. Yeah, I suppose that's not entirely wrong, but still. Someone's left. There was like saying 5 people were watching a little bit ago, and now it says only 4 people are watching. Anyway, yeah. I don't think Trump is really gonna. I don't know if it's an attempt to discredit the judicial system. That seems kind of like conspiracy theory thinking. It's possible. I'll give you that, but I don't exactly. I think Trump's just stupid. That's really. I think he's probably not thinking, oh, I'm going to use this to discredit the judicial system so that people will be on my side when I do a whole bunch of the other crap. No, I don't think it's that. I think he's just stupid. And probably. He probably wasn't thinking things through when he made those tweets. He doesn't think things through for a lot of the things he made, but like this one, he really didn't think through. As for the Muslim ban being unconstitutional, I don't think Trump. I think Trump legitimately thinks that the travel ban he issued, the immigration ban on those 7 countries, I think he legitimately thinks that it's legal, because he asked former New York mayor, I think it was former mayor of New York, a guy named Rudy Giuliani. He asked him, "How do I?" The report says that he asked Rudy Giuliani, "How do I make a Muslim ban legally?" And that's why it's not something that says, "I'm going to ban all Muslims," and is instead something that says, ban all refugees from Syria indefinitely, and ban people from these countries from entering. Instead of saying Muslim, they made it these countries that just so happen to be Muslim majority, and they don't mention anything about religion. The only thing they mention about religion is prioritizing religious minorities in refugees, which Trump himself has said that will take shape in the form of, that does mean that Christians from Muslim countries will be prioritized. The question I have him is, does that mean that like Shias from Sunni majority countries will be prioritized, or Sunnis from Shia majority countries will be prioritized, or what about Yazidis, or Jews, or Hindus, or Buddhists, or blah 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 blah? I could go on and on and on and on and on. I don't think any of those questions has been raised by the mainstream media, which kind of irritates me. That's a question they should have asked. Or at least that's the way I think. But yeah, because he asked Rudy Giuliani, "How do I do this legally?" he probably thinks it's legal. Is it actually legal? I have no idea. I'm not a lawyer. So I'm going to leave that up to the courts to decide. There are liberals who slam it for being illegal. I don't know if it's illegal. They cite legal things, but I legitimately think that it's better to leave it in the hands of the courts in terms of determining the legality of this. Although I will say right now that a lower court saying putting a stay on the ban, that's not a good sign for Trump. You have to remember the mainstream was less interested in actual news reporting than they are in sensationalism and division mongering. Well, sensationalism, yeah, I agree with you. I'm not sure about division mongering. I think the division mongering is just more a result of the sensationalism. Because, you know. But unfortunately, that's what happens When you get the media that's like always covering news and they always want more views and more clicks and more whatever in the hell you call it. 4. I criticize Trump a lot, but I feel like I don't criticize the mainstream media enough sometimes. Because as much as I find some sources, not all, some, but some sources of news reliable, there are other times where they're just like, okay, you're not asking the questions you should ask. Or you could say division mongering creates more sensationalism. Actually, that is true. I hadn't thought about that before, but yes, that is true. There's a game that made a statement on this. I can't remember what it was called. It was made by the same guy who made a different game. Shit. Markiplier did a video on that game, and then I actually, on my old computer, I actually translated the game into Japanese. I never released it, partly because I was going to ask people to beta test it, and then I never did. What was it called? Mark did a game. It's like one of those games where it starts with, it's basically a statement on social media and the modern media, not just social media. It exploded for a while there. I can't remember what it was called though. I know I have the files on this hard drive over here. Yes, this is the hard drive from one of my old computers that is now broke. You just have to look really hard. Oh, wait, hold on. Even the most overblown little sky is falling news story, there is usually a small kernel of truth. Even you just have to look hard for it. Yeah, I mean, otherwise it wouldn't really be news, but it's just sometimes you look at the way that the media spins it, and it's just, whew. It's why I think that if you want to get like the best possible, like if you want a really objective look at any news media, don't limit yourself to just CNN or NBC or Fox or what else is there? ABC, CBS. Don't limit yourself to just that, and if possible, don't limit yourself to just your country. You can do this more with the internet now because there's like news everywhere. Try and get news from basically everywhere. Maybe you disagree with a news source, so maybe you really can't stand what Breitbart says and you don't want to read Breitbart. Fine, but find something else to replace Breitbart. I can't give any suggestions because I'll admit right now I'm probably guilty of, the whole echo chamber effect thing too. But I generally try to get my news from not just NBC or whatever. I've been reading, I don't know about, there's this thing called The Hill. I've never heard of it until recently. They've been running quite a bit of stories on executive orders from Trump. I'm not sure what their political stance is, though. They probably have some bias. Every media has bias, even the ones that say they're not biased, because humans are biased creatures. It's just, there's no way to separate it. The closest thing to a truly unbiased news source that I have ever seen is NHK, and even it's not really the network and more the people that write the news stories and whatnot. American society and society in particular has gotten away from that fact, reporting days like those of the Cronkite and Winchell, and now go for things that generate the most ratings. Oh yeah. I think it's only gotten worse with the internet too. Now you have clickbait, which, oh lord, that's a whole nother can of worms. Oh my god, but again, if you want an objective look at things, don't limit yourself to just one source of information. As much as I say this, it's easier. I know it's something that's easier said than done, even in the internet age. Because with the internet, yeah, it's easier to with the internet, it's way easier to get news from the opposing side too. But it's also way easier to insulate yourself in what I've seen a lot of people call an echo chamber, and whew, and Google's not making it any easier with their tailoring of results. With their, oh, you have these views, you have this, you're this kind of person, or at least that's what our algorithm set tells us you are. Thus, we're gonna serve you this kind of news. Okay, number 5, which for some reason is able to accurately deduce that I am politically liberal leaning. I shouldn't say leaning. It's just I say liberal leaning less because I have beliefs that align with the Democrats, not less because I only lean that way, and more because the way some liberals have been acting nowadays, is making me not as comfortable with calling myself a liberal. I do agree with a lot of liberals. It's just then you get stuff like what happened in Berkeley, and it's just ugh. Most of what is out there on the net is nothing more than someone's personal opinion. Well, there is that. It depends on what site you go to. I've noticed that places like NHK tends to at least try. How successful they are is up to whoever's reading the article, but places like NHK generally try to remain objective and report on the facts, but then it's not necessarily the facts that make something biased. It's no more how you describe it, the wording of what you say. Say, I'm trying to think of a good example. I can't think of anything on there. Oh, there's a good example in the middle of the campaign. There was an incident where Republican person refused to give some kind of service to a Bernie Sanders supporter for the reason that the person was a socialist. And that's basically what Fox News reported on. They said, oh, this person refused service, and didn't really add much details on that. If you look at like the Huffington Post, though, which from what I can tell lately leans towards the political left, at least the American political left, they added in all these details like, oh, the person was disabled, which, oh my. And there was this. But the Huffington Post did also leave out that political class is not something that is protected under U.S. law. So, like, the person was entirely within his legal rights to do that. It's things like that. It's like what you do mention, all the details, the way you word things that makes something biased or not biased. And you could do something like, oh, well, there's this general thing happened, but I'm going to leave out this tiny detail. And yeah, it's things like that which skew things in one favor of one thing or another. Which is why you should, in an ideal scenario, go and try and get news from all the sources that you can possibly get. And not just like all the liberal sources or all the conservative sources or all the libertarian or whatever. Insert political ideology here. I generally don't go on blogs. I'm not a big fan of blogs, although I did notice a little bit ago. Oh my god. There was a thing on the Washington Post. Was it Washington Post? No, Huffington Post. It's why I put less credence on the Huffington Post than I did before. During the election, they ran this opinion piece on, like, I can't really say anything about the headlines, but if you read the article, they made Donald Trump sound like the worst person in the entire world that has ever existed. And even I was reading this, and I was like, I lean politically towards the left, but this is, oh my god! And then I was like, what is this? Where did they get this? Is it really the Huffington Post that does it? And then like I looked for it, it's like, oh no, this is actually a blog post copied word for word from from a place that, from what I can tell, is like a ridiculously liberal leaning blog. And I was like, oh, they're doing this. They're really doing this. In any case, with the internet, it's easy to, while it's easy to find the opinion of the other side, it's also way easier to insulate yourself from the other side. Which is not good. It's good that you can easily figure out what the other side believes, but it's bad that people tend to do the exact opposite. And as I was saying before I looked at the chat and said something completely different, Google is not helping things with their algorithms that can accurately predict that I am a liberal and left-leaning, but apparently can't accurately predict that I don't give two shits about American football. Seriously, I have no idea what the hell they're doing with their algorithm there, but... Google, check your computers. 2, 4, 6. If you guys want, like, maybe alternative views from not outside the US on different issues, I'll give you a few suggestions here. I can mostly only give, an American-based company, what did you expect, lol? True, true. Anyway, some of my personal suggestions for, non-American news sources. There's NHK, which is, full disclosure, NHK is in part funded, I don't know if it's in part actually, but they are, like, funded by the government of Japan, so keep that in mind when you look at them. But they do have a huge reputation for being unbiased. Whether they actually are, I'll let you decide. Asahi News is another Japanese news source, but keep in mind they lean towards the Japanese political left. I will say right now, the Japanese left is different from the American left, just like the Japanese right is different from the American right. And if you want a Japanese conservative view on things, you can go to Yomiuri Shimbun, which is, I think, the most subscribed to newspaper in the entire world. Like, while all these other news sources decline, Yomiuri Shimbun is still going strong. They have, like, how big are they? I think, like, 1/3 of all newspaper sales in Japan is Yomiuri Shimbun, but I don't exactly have the statistics in front of me, so I could be very wrong about that. But yeah, Yomiuri Shimbun leans conservative. So if you want a Japanese conservative view, Yomiuri Shimbun is the place to go. Just be careful though, because Yomiuri Shimbun sometimes runs stories that completely deny that the whole Korean comfort women thing happened. So yeah, they do stuff like that sometimes. Not often, but they do. There's also some other places, if you have a VPN that can go to Japan and can also understand Japanese, which I know is a very, very narrow category. But if you are one of those people, you can go to download this app. It's called Abema, which will give you access to Abema News, which is basically an internet TV station. But keep in mind that Abema is technically funded in a joint project by some company that I've never heard of in Japan and Asahi, so yeah, keep that in mind. What else is there? I also go to BBC sometimes, but BBC isn't exactly small. They're pretty well known. You get different thing. Yeah, those are all the ones that I can think of. It's mostly Japanese stuff that I do. In general, what's the civil opinion on the denial of comfort women? You mean the opinion in Japan? It depends. There are actually some people who legitimately believe that it didn't happen and are completely. They think that the denial is based on fact. There are others who condemn that sort of thing. It really depends on the person. BBC is biased. I don't know. I don't exactly use BBC as my regular source of information, so yeah. Anyway, on the denial in Japan. Hold on one moment. Yeah, someone just added me on the chat, so I can't go back. I need to tell him that I kind of can't. Anyway, on the denial issue, it really depends on the person you talk to. Some of the more hardcore conservative people will be completely okay with it. Others will condemn it. In general, though, the Japanese public, from what I can understand, they just want to move away from World War II. And I've heard a lot of people say that they wish Prime Minister Abe would, like, shut up about World War II and just get on with fixing the damn economy. In Japan as a whole does tend to lean towards what Americans would consider conservative, but again, conservative in Japan is different from conservative in the United States. Okay, 2, 4, 6, 7. And yeah, it's basically like that. It's the economy, fool. There's a reason why, I'm not gonna lie, Abe, in terms of his party, a lot of people in Japan are not happy with his party. It's just the people who support the Japanese opposition also know full well that the Japanese opposition is not exactly. Let's just say last election their selling pitch amounted to "we're not the prime minister," and the voters were smart enough to realize that's not exactly the best way. It's not exactly the best way to choose who to vote for. Yes, they did have policy ideas, but they didn't have, like, a unified, cohesive platform. Unlike Abe, which was running on a platform that he's had for many years now. It's like, the way I can sum it up is, yeah, the guy maybe is not the best, and maybe I don't like him, but at least he has a fucking plan. Of course, from what I understand, there are a lot of people in Japan who are irritated with Abe for getting distracted with things like trying to get rid of Article 9 of the Japanese Constitution. Or, again, the issue with the Korean comfort women. Damn rain. It's not raining where I am. Then again, Gabriel, I know you live on Kaneohe, which is like the other side of the island from where I live, so. In general, though, if you want to know about the way the Japanese public sees World War II, most people want to move ahead from World War II. How they want to move ahead depends, but most people, they just want to move ahead. There are a lot of caveats, but that's just like, I think that's the best way to say what the universal feeling is. The details will change depending on person to person, but the general rule of thumb, they want to move on. Which I think is understandable, considering how things have gone in the past few years. Does it make sense does make sense when you have bigger fish to fry. Same here, but people are all the same all over. They want what they want, but if they don't get their way, then they whine like little bitches. Yeah. In some ways, I guess you could say that to the current Democratic Party, too. I've criticized the decision of some Democrats to threaten to filibuster Trump's Supreme Court nominee, and as much as as much as I can understand the sentiment, I just fuck it. As much as I don't like that, sure, maybe the ideological alignment of the Supreme Court won't go my way, but I shouldn't be worried about the ideological alignment of the Supreme Court to begin with. What I should be worried about is whether the judges that are being appointed are qualified for the job or not. And I'm sorry, but if you look at the qualifications of who Trump nominated, the only thing that I can find that people object on is the way that the guy interprets the law. And that is an entirely different thing. The guy's served the justice system very well so far. There's no denying that. I might not like the way the guy's ruled on certain issues, but that's an entirely separate question from does he have the qualifications? Which is why, as much as I can see why Democrats would want to filibuster his nomination, it's just fucking... If you are going to filibuster it, their goal should not be to get their own nominee appointed, but instead to get a hearing on Merrick Garland so that the Republicans can then reject him and then just let Trump's nominee go through. I'm sorry, I don't see a way which Democrats will be able to force the ideological alignment of the court to go with them. Not because what they believe is unconstitutional or anything like that, but just because the fight is done. Let it go. That's the way I see it. 2, 4, 6, 8. There are far bigger fish to catch. The past is the past. We gotta focus on the future. A lot of people, as much as people, even myself included sometimes, say things like that. Saying it is one thing, actually following through with it, that's a whole other thing. It's hard. Getting thirsty. This is running low on water. What else can I do? Okay. The bigger part is the Dems who are afraid of Ruth Ginsburg on her way out, and Trump will have to appoint a second justice. Well, I guess that's that, but that's a fight that that I think Democrats should worry about if and when it comes. I just wish that instead of, when picking an appointment for the Supreme Court, instead of considering just the qualifications, sometimes a lot of people, especially the media's done this a lot. They say, oh, this justice rules in this way or that way. They don't say, oh, they have the qualifications from X, Y, and Z and X number of years in the justice system. It's always like they ruled this way on this case or that way on that case. Which, since, aren't we supposed to be considering whether the judges can be impartial and look at the law and objectively consider things? I've seen like places like the Washington Post describe Trump's nominee as basically Justice Scalia, only someone who is more willing to compromise and less willing to go, um, it alone. Which I guess if he's willing to compromise, that's a good thing. Not that the media has tried to spin it that way. Each side wants someone who's qualified to their ideals. Yeah, that's true. Still, when you put your ideals ahead of something like the Supreme Court, that usually doesn't end well. I will admit that Republicans somehow they managed to won the election even with the Supreme Court thing, but if Democrats are going to try and draw out that fight, eventually I think it's going to bite them in the ass. And if the selection doesn't meet their criteria, they claim he or she isn't qualified. It's all a subjective issue. Yeah, it is. I wish it wasn't subjective, but it is. Whatever. As much as I can wish things were one way, if it isn't that way, it isn't that way. The world isn't perfect. All I can do is voice my view on things and then see how many other people agree and how many people disagree. Let's see, what number is this? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Okay, as soon as I finish these last few folds. Okay. What else is there? Oi. Oh, I just realized something. I forgot to do this. Alright, okay. What else can I talk about? I go on the Google News and again, headline Super Bowl. Something about Super Bowl ads. That's like the only thing that I like about the Super Bowl. The ads! That's it! And even then, I don't watch the Super Bowl ads. It was designed with the intent that it wouldn't be that way, but we're talking about a government-based politically and appointed body here. Yeah. Things don't always go the way that things were intended. Whew, that's the real world for you. If there was a way that you could assure that appointed justices are impartial, I'd be all ears, but I find it hard to believe that people wouldn't try and come up with a system that can be exploited in one way or another. I'll be very surprised if someone is trying to come up with... actually, no, I wouldn't be surprised if someone is trying to come up with a way that can't be exploited by both sides, but I will be very surprised if such a method is actually adopted. Because let's be honest here. Will the Democratic Party really want to be able to give up a way in which they can influence the way the courts rule? Or also the Republican Party would be able to give up a way in which they'd be able to influence the courts? I don't think either party will want to get rid of it. So would most people in the US, but it can't be the way as long as humans are involved in the creation. We can try to get close, but whether it's actually adopted is... yeah. And at least in some ways, maybe a computer will be able to do something that's more objective, kind of, sort of, but I'm not exactly comfortable with putting computers in charge of everything. I have some criticisms about the AI revolution that's coming in, and I firmly believe that it is coming. But there are many, many questions that I believe need to be answered, and we're gonna have a hard time answering it. It's hard questions. But that's a topic for an entirely separate video. Skynet! Oh, wow. Ooh, I sincerely hope that Skynet doesn't ever become a reality. But then again, Google, Yahoo, internet caches, and all that tracking. Oh well. I really should read Orwell's 1984 or something like that. This is like entirely off topic, but it's just something that crossed in my mind. I keep seeing references to that. I've never actually read the book. I should. I'm an English major that wants to become that it is not. I don't know if I would say want, but is looking to try and become an author that writes novels, and yet I don't like reading. I need to fix that. Oh. Then again, someone who wants to write novels for a living and then has the problem of trying to write a novel and then not being able to finish it. Yeah, that. Oh, well, that's another topic for another video. Okay, which side? I will do this side. Okay, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Alright, I've reached the minimum that I fold for every day. Except for yesterday, but again, I was at a friend's house, I got home, I fell asleep, and then I woke up at 11 p.m. and I was like, yeah, it might not be a good idea to do a live stream at 11 p.m. at night. I say as I think about whether or not I'm going to do a live stream if the Hiroshima Carp manages to get to the finals of the Central League in Japanese baseball. In which case I will be staying up until like 3 or 4 a.m. doing a live stream on that. Remember yesterday's game? Oh yes, I do remember yesterday's game. I'm not sure if that's really something I can talk about on the live stream though, because it's very, very specific to us. Unless everyone here has also played Age of Empires 3. Specifically the Asian Dynasties expansion. It was quite the game, yes, but how many people play Age of Empires? I've met a lot of people that play League of Legends and World of Warcraft and what else is there? Overwatch. Not really Age of Empires. What else is there? One of the news articles that's linked on my Google News feed is something about Melissa McCarthy is scathing as Sean Spicer on Saturday Night Live. I have no idea what it's talking about since I don't watch Saturday Night Live. Nor do I really care to try and read it, because I really don't give two shits about Saturday Night Live. Oh yeah! Donald Trump has apparently decided that he's going to go to a NATO summit, which I think is good, especially considering that Trump has repeatedly railed against NATO. Questioning the alliance just doesn't seem very good to me. He's questioned a lot of alliances. NATO is just one of many alliances that he's questioned. He's also questioned the alliance with South Korea and Japan. No, America's alliance with South Korea and America's alliance with Japan. He's questioned that, which is why people in Japan are kind of they're not too happy with Trump, but it's not with like American domestic policy. It's because they don't like the way he's talked about the alliance with Japan, which is the cornerstone of Japanese security policy. Like everything about Japanese security policy revolves around that alliance. What is this news? Bank throws 50,000 euros in the garbage. Really? That seems like... Really? I am very skeptical. Not just because of the headline, but also because this website is a website that I've never heard of before. Ynetnews.com. Never heard of it. I have no idea what this website is. Bank Leumi is one of Tel Aviv accidentally threw away a packet with 50,000 euros. I suppose it's real. People have done... I suppose it could be real. People have done stupider stuff before. Not that just throwing away 50,000 euros will really have an effect on the economy. It's an interesting headline, but that's it. It's interesting, and that's it. Let's see. Fark.com. Let's see if I can find something that'll beat the bridge being stolen in the Czech Republic. That was like so many years ago, and I've yet to find anything that beats that headline. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 folded. Just scrolling down. That was a bank error. Yeah, quite a stupid error for a bank to make, but an error. Hmm. 1,941 people break the world record for most humans simultaneously floating in water. What? Sky News from the UK. I usually don't read them. Smash. Thanks to a little help from the salt waters of Lake Pugan, the attempt smashed the previous record set in Taiwan. Okay. Interesting, apparently. What is with people and their obsession with world records? I mean, it's fine if you get some world records, like a fastest runner or something like that. Things like that, I can understand that. And then you get things like biggest popsicle. Most people floating in water, which is what the last headline is. Biggest burger. Everyone wants 15 minutes of fame. I suppose that's true, but some of these are like completely fucking pointless. I can see why you would want to set a world record if it's something like an actual achievement. But then you get the other records. Even if it's something for something totally off the map and insane. I guess. I shouldn't be talking too much considering where one of the places where I was born has the world's biggest shamoji. If you don't know what a shamoji is, it's basically what the people in Japan use to scoop rice and put it inside the bowls so that they can eat it. Yeah, it's what you use to scoop rice out of the rice cooker in Japan. I remember thinking though when I first heard that that's the world's biggest shamoji. I was like, the first thing that went through my mind was, why does this exist? Oh, I was questioning things even when I was young. I still am young, but like younger than I am today. I think I was like in middle school when that happened. I went to Itsukushima Jinja, or as the locals call it, Miyajima. And it was there, on the island. It was weird. I'm probably going to stop after either this one or the next one, depending on whether or not this is number 13. Because I have work to do, as I need to do the work. I feel like these streams have gone a lot shorter than when I first started it. I think they probably have. I think the first few ones were like 2 hours, hour and a half, things like that. This one is almost an hour and a half. I shouldn't be talking. Okay, that one fold that I hate is done. Being part of a group of water filters is, in my opinion, better than being the fool who stuffs 110 hot dogs down his throat. Held by a native of Nagano. Oh, okay. Yeah, I actually agree with you on that. Holy shit. 110 hot dogs. People. Some people. Luckily, Nagano is in a completely different part of Japan from Hiroshima. But again, Hiroshima can't really say much because biggest shamoji in the world. It's like one of the most Asian records that you could set. Okay, what is that email that I just got? It's all spam. Kobayashi Takeru. Wow, that is like such a generic name. Not quite as generic as like Tanaka Jiro, which is basically the Japanese equivalent of John Doe. But still, that is so generic. Two, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay, yeah, I guess I'm gonna stop it here. It's like 8:03, so I don't want to be going on for too much longer. So yeah, if you like this, feel free to hit that like button and please do share it. I want people to know that I'm pulling 1,000 paper cranes, and I want people to know why. I should probably talk more about why I'm doing this. But whatever. Why can't I have some fun while I do this, yeah? So yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow, assuming I actually am able to do this at a decent time and don't fall asleep until 11 p.m. like I did yesterday. Alright, bye!